Hello and welcome to RHM Global TV. Here we are in London. What a beautiful setting. We have the Tower Bridge in our backdrop, as you can see. And here we are sitting with Rajiv Narang, the founder of Air One, India's and the world's leading innovation consulting firm. Thank you very much, Rajiv, for doing this with us. Before we get to all the other questions and we talk about innovation and things like that, I want to ask you one question, and that's a question that a lot of people in companies ask, and that is about why is it that companies are not able to see and spot the next big idea or the next big opportunity. Why is that?
In one word, gravity. Gravity is that force that drags down anything different. And how does gravity manifest itself in companies? In the form of entrenched, trapped mental models. Uh, Past successes become norms, norms become practices, and we see the world, the next opportunity, we look for it through the old lens. Uh, and if it doesn't fit, we don't do it. Most unfortunate thing which happened was really in the discovery of the e-reader. Uh, I'm sure you've seen what a revolution it has been with the iPad and Kindle and you name it. But this, fascinatingly enough, this prototype of an e-reader was shown to Bill Gates by a Microsoft team in 1997, and
Great.
he dismissed it.
So you must have said yes, right?
He dismissed it because it didn't fit Windows. It didn't go with Windows. Now think about it. A new idea didn't fit the old lens. And the old lens was successful, very, very successful, and that's the enemy. And this happens to the best organization, that previous successes get so entrenched and established that everything gets referenced against them over a period. And you can't argue against success. But not just an organization. After a period, an entire industry can get trapped into one mental model. All the businesses, all the players can be doing the same thing. So you have the same product, the same business models, the same practices, the same strategies, and after some time the same guys are changing jobs within the same industry. Even people look the same.
Absolutely.
And what does that lead to? Let me give you an example of what it leads to. Banks, for 75 years around the world, had the same blind spot. They thought of their customers as people who save and don't invest.
Yeah.
So the idea of a mutual fund never came from a bank.
Wow.
And fascinatingly enough, the idea of microfinance also did not come from a bank.
Yeah.
They've missed 2 or 3 of the biggest game changers in the industry have come from outsiders.
Okay.
And banks have always bought the best talent money can buy. So don't think for a minute that they had to compromise on talent. They didn't.
Exactly.
And they've given them the fanciest designations you can think of. But at the same time, that wasn't a insurance against conditioning.
Yeah, I mean, about banks, a friend of mine told me that, everyone here is a VP and, it's about fancy titles and designations. But, I mean, more to the point, Rajiv, shouldn't, market research be able to identify the next big opportunity? I mean, isn't that the job of, marketing research agencies or even marketing research departments within companies?
You notice the idea of market research was set up to overcome this self-bias, right? They would have somebody unconnected, different, go look at the market and report back to them.
Yeah.
Now the trouble is that is very good, that helps when what you want to do is confirm. And what we find is over a period of time, market research ends up seeking answers to questions. Whereas finding the next opportunity is discovery of the next question. A market research by design cannot get you answers to questions that were never asked. And the trouble is the presumption that we already have the questions. We really don't have them because the current set of questions are rooted in the current mental model.
So how do you go about doing this? I mean, how should people have conversations with people who?
Yeah. Is there a different way of doing it? There is, and but it is fundamentally different. Market research comes in at the fag end.
Yeah.
When you have already discovered the opportunity and you want to now size it, now you need market research in the traditional sense. But discovery, it's a discovery process. It's not a validation process. And so, how does it begin? Now, this process of discovery of the next insight is the one thing that cannot be outsourced.
Yeah.
The team has to do it in themselves.
Yeah.
Because they are passionate. They'll be able to see an opportunity in a stray conversation which a market researcher will completely miss.
Correct.
And so what do? When we work with the organizations, what we encourage them to do is pair up and go meet same and different and yet still different inside sources.
Correct.
Completely different. And the idea is the more different an inside source you talk to, the new dots will join.
Okay.
And to give you an example, a team that was working in the area of personal care, transforming skin care across the world, they were trying to do it in minimal water.
Yeah.
So how do we reduce the impact of water, because so much water is lost in bathing, etc., etc. Now the question was, how do they get new insights? So they asked themselves, well, let's meet not the normal customer, but who are the customers who have to live without water, or live without a toilet even. So what about soldiers who are in Siachen glaciers and in deserts? They met them first. And then nurses who have to treat bedridden patients, who have no access to a toilet. Now, how do they do skin care? New dots were joining.
Correct.
But going further, what about a prisoner? I mean, what does he do? Some guy who's done a good job with his skin, but he's no access at all. So they actually went to a jail to meet.
I want to ask, change tack a bit. Apart from market research, I want to look inside organizations. I mean, do you think there's a problem that within organization sort of structures and kind of departments and hierarchies and all of that, somewhere innovation is it kind of gets lost? Is that a problem?
The discovery of an opportunity, where it does get blocked, is because after some time it becomes the job of marketing.
Yeah.
We've created yet another silo. Whereas everybody, all leadership has to be collectively involved in getting it. It can't be outsourced. We outsource insight at all levels. The CEO wants to discover what's happening in a particular target segment. Call the market guy, the marketing guy. The marketing guy will call the market research guy. And finally, the person who's do it is 5 levels removed from the guy who was passionate about it. And what's left is nothing. And also over a
How
period...
can organization then, I mean, should the structure change? Should there be an innovation team? Should there be, I mean, how do you overcome that?
No, the way to overcome that is to have cross-functional teams at leadership level go out and experience the market collectively, but join dots collectively. So that there are no silo in the discovery process. So the hope is that how a R&D guy will view the market and how a marketing and a sales guy will view it will be different, but that is the strength. They will see it differently. New dots will join, and the chances of a new opportunity increase.
Okay. Also, while we are on the topic of talking about people and teams and all of that, I mean, it's an assumption generally that if you get a whole diverse bunch of people together, with all looking at a problem from all kind of different backgrounds and all of that, automatically that ensures that this will be an innovative team. Is that in your experience generally the case, or is it are existing teams able to innovate on all on themselves?
To build that further, it's not just a diverse team within an organization. People have actually started to believe that the way to make innovation happen is to get in cross-disciplinary people from outside into the company. And people from within can't do it. These guys are conditioned, right? Everybody knows that. But the way to solve it is get cowboys from outside. Now, the unfortunate part is that all the people who come in from outside get conditioned into that conditioning of the organization very, very quickly. And over a period of time, the first thing they learn is the questions not to ask. Really, because that's the only way to survive that culture. And smart guys understand that very quickly. Now, so really the answer is not finding in new people from other organizations and then conditioning them, but rather unleashing the current teams. And what we've seen is that when the current people there are unleashed, they can create a game change as much as anybody else could have.
Okay. Rajiv, at this point, I would say, we've kind of talked about a problem. We've spoken about, what are the kind of impediments in making organizations innovative and unleashing, innovation within an organization. So what would you then say are sort of, 3 or 4 key shifts that really organizations should do to make them innovative?
The first big shift needed is to unleash people to take the risk, to take on the leap, to pursue an unknown, rather than settle with the known and safe. And unfortunately, over a period of time, people become very good in most organizations at under-promising and overachieving. And why is that? Because the culture becomes success equals not failing.
Correct.
Therefore, to not fail, pick up only the most safe goals. And where is the question of picking up an unknown innovation challenge? I mean, that just doesn't figure. So how does one unleash? One way of unleashing is to twin track goals themselves. So have performance goals and have 1 or 2 innovation challenges for each person. Now the skill is in being able to treat these two differently, that they are evaluated differently, measured differently, recognized differently. So the biggest trouble for organizations when we try and manage and review an innovation challenge the way we review a performance goal. And the way, if we do that, we are sure to kill it. That leads to a play safe zone where people are great become heroes, and heroes are people who under promise and overachieve. So the first thing is to unleash, is to take on orbit shifting challenges and make them a part of the DNA. So when people are pursuing that, they know the pursuit is a direction, not even a destination. You know, when you take on a huge challenge, it doesn't matter if you never get there.
Yeah.
In the pursuit of it, we'll be miles beyond where we are today. That's what matters.
Okay, so basically, sort of no play safe zones. You should sort of encourage people to kind of take those risks. And okay, before we wrap, I want to ask you a bit, Rajiv. You know, you've been around for many years, to more than 2 decades. I know, and your company is called Air1. I've wanting to ask you this question throughout the interview. What is it? What does Air1 mean? Is it a German word? What does it mean?
Yeah, it gets confused for German and Korean frequently.
Yeah.
In the sense that word, I suppose the word "won" in the end is the twang of it creates that impression. But really, it's a very simple one in hindsight. When you look at that word and you read it backwards, you'll find it reads nowhere. It's really the word nowhere spelled backwards, and you might wonder why would somebody do that. When you split it up, you'll notice it becomes two words: now, here.
Wow.
And nowhere to now, here. Impossible to possible, hopelessness to hope. That's the journey of innovation, and that's the journey of Air1.
Fantastic. So there you go. Now here, that's where we are. Here we are in London, speaking to Rajiv about innovation. And thanks so very much, Rajiv, for doing this with us. Thanks a lot. You've been watching RHM Global TV. Thanks so much for watching.
Thank you.